Hi guys, I am doing my everyday makeup and I know the lighting's not the best. What do I always say? We're filming right before the sun goes down. But you know, the working schedule. Sometimes we get home in the evenings and I have been wanting to make this video for a little bit. It's been a requested one, so I was like, I'm gonna make it happen today. I didn't wear makeup today, so I thought it was perfect that I could do my little routine to get ready for the evening. I would say that my makeup is relatively no makeup type of look. I don't know, maybe it's not, but it's like I tend to go pretty natural. I like dewy skin, I like minimal eye makeup, and I like it to look as natural as possible, but there are little touches that I also like to add. And just techniques and things that I have been doing for the past 10 years of my life since I was a preteen watching Zoella makeup tutorials. I watched all of the beauty YouTubers and was really into teaching myself how to do makeup at a young age. And it's just crazy how over a decade, because I probably was around 12 at that time, some things have stayed the same, some things have changed so much. I think I actually did an everyday makeup tutorial, or maybe multiple of them. I think I did one and it's still on my channel when I was like 14. So that's only 2 years after maybe when I started doing makeup. So I'm excited to do this and kind of see how things have changed. So this is my makeup bag and this is my mirror. This is my grandmother's mirror from the 1950s. It is my prized possession, something that I keep very near and dear to me. I like to say my affirmations in this mirror and I feel like it's very powerful. So I'm excited to do my makeup here in front of the window. I definitely need a bigger one, but come on, this is adorable. So I have made it work. So the first thing that I use is this setting spray. Okay, I know you're supposed to do it after, but on the bottle it says primes and sets. So I'm assuming that you can use it as a primer. I feel like I've seen people do that before too, so call me crazy. This is my favorite setting spray, Charlotte Tilbury. I'm sure there are other ones. I do want to try more, but this one kind of just leaves me feeling dewy. It does keep my makeup on for quite a while, so I've had a good experience. And most people with bangs would pin them up so that they don't get soaked in setting spray, but for me, I don't do that. I just hope for the best. I just do a little bit for that initial prime. We go crazy when we're setting, but the prime, I just do a little bit. Then I use my Fenty Skin. This is literally one of my favorite makeup products ever. I keep saying that it looks like liquid skin. I just put a little bit right there on my hand. It is my exact skin color. Like when I put it on my face, it just looks like I'm putting my own skin on, if that makes sense. It's blurring. It looks like my face, but just brushed. It is the Ease Drop. I'm the shade number 2. Blurring skin tint. That is exactly what it is. We're not too fancy here, guys. I put it right on with my finger. We're using our hand. We're using the finger. Hands are clean. I was using a beauty blender for a long time, but I kind of got sick of that. Like, it's just washing it. It's dirty. Is mold gonna grow in there? I don't know how to get the foundation out of it. I know there's beauty blender cleaner, but what am I gonna go buy that and then get the scrub? Like, it seemed like a little bit too much maintenance, and makeup brushes just seemed easier to wash and everything, but I sometimes can't even be bothered with that. And the fingers work well. Like, I don't understand why we don't all use our fingers. I'm sure, you know what, brushes, beauty blenders, they make it easier. Of course they do. And the finish probably comes out better, but I've found that my fingers work just fine for what I do. So it's okay. Now that we're talking about being 12 years old, thinking back to when I first started doing makeup, it's all kind of like flooding back to me, that time in my life. That was a really big change. I mean, I know we've all probably gone through our puberty moments and changes at different years of our lives, but like 12, 13, 14, being in middle school and all those transitional phases, oh my God, that is a crazy time. I don't know if all of our experiences were pretty negative, but I had some dark moments throughout those those years. I mean, just like from getting your period for the first time and figuring out how I used to put like crazy orange Neutrogena powder on my face. Even like going into high school, the way I did my eyebrows, there's definitely pictures on my Instagram of how my eyebrows used to be. I mean, that was just a thing, right? Back in the day, in like 2016, 2015, the thick, dark eyebrows. Growing up as a young girl, you're very impressionable to all the trends around. I'm thinking about like whenever I was in middle school and it was all like the Tumblr phase, 2012, 2013, 2014, like One Direction, Tumblr girl, that era, that time, the makeup trends, even like the Kylie, she just got her lip filler, like it was all that era. And I just remember like it did make an impression on me. And also just like all the beauty trends at that time, the body standards and everything change every few years, like every decade there's a different body that's in. And I remember like when I was younger, it was just starting to get into that Kim Kardashian hourglass and everybody was like, ugh, like I just remember being a young girl and everybody looking at themselves critically and their parts of them that are growing that look different now, and everyone's comparing it to each other. And being in public school and just being in school and being in close proximity to all these different girls, and we're all going through these changes at the same time and just getting influenced by so much. It was crazy. It really was a lot all thrown at you at once. Not to say that it all necessarily happens overnight, and like I said, we're all on a different journey, but when I look back, it kind of feels like it did. It does feel like I was in elementary school one day just like running around with my little buck teeth and wearing my shorts and shirts with ladybugs on them, and my hair was crazy and I was just like a little girl running around. I used to wear toe shoes also, fun fact about me. The shoes that were meant for like outdoor hiking and swimming, I would wear those to school. Like I was a crazy little unruly girl who like ran around in nature, had such a fun time, didn't care about how I looked and how I was being perceived. Like none of that mattered. And then in that time period, going into 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I started to look at myself more critically, and makeup, became a thing, and all these trends. Girls can be mean. I think anyone can be mean, but girls and just gossiping and groups and leaving each other out, like there was just a lot of comparison and drama, and like that time in our life, like we gotta give ourselves a pat on the back to our young little preteen selves, because they went through a lot. They carried the weight for us. Oh no, I should have used this. Okay, sorry. Okay, we gotta go back a step. I know we already put the skin tint on, but I've been using this e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter, the thing that's supposed to be sort of like a dupe of the Charlotte Tilbury filter. And the reason that I feel okay with not doing it first is because it is just really such a sheer tint. And see, okay, it looks a little orange. Don't freak out. Like, it's gonna just even out my skin tone and make me look really glowy in a moment. See, I'm just gonna apply a little bit on the face like that. I'm just gonna blend that tint in. It really does make a difference. It kind of just makes you look like you're glowing within. Yeah, anyways, so we gotta give those little preteen versions of ourselves a pat on the back, because those were some harsh, terrible, awkward, impressionable times. I do remember there being like so many fun parts of it though. Like it was fun to discover makeup and beauty, like getting my first curling iron, and I burnt myself really bad, but just, you know, all these things I was discovering, and all the beauty YouTubers, if you were around for that era too, like 2014, One Direction was so popular, the British YouTubers, all the beauty YouTube life, that was so fun. And it was such a good period of life as well, but it definitely was difficult. It definitely had its hard character developing periods. Now I'm using my Fenty bronzer in the color Mocha, and I just put it kind of right that was not supposed to happen. I put it like right above my cheekbone, like right here, because I like to just blend it up and it helps my face look a little like lifted in a way. And then I put a little bit right beneath my nose, and I put a little bit right there, a little bit of nose contouring. I do like a tiny bit right here in the shadows of my nose, and then right here in the little crevice, and then on the bridge as well. You know, usually if I was in a rush, I just put my bronzer on my eyelids. Oh, well, I just got a little bit on there, but I put a little bit on my eyelids and I just rub it in and sort of like move it upward, and that's usually my eyeshadow for the day. Today we're gonna do like my light eyeshadow look, so not gonna do the bronzer there today, but now, hey, I do my bronzer with my fingers too. It works. It works for me. I don't know why I'm getting so defensive. I feel like there are people who are really good at this type of stuff, and this is just what I do every day. It works for me. I think I'm good at it in my own way. So let me not get so defensive here. When I was a little girl, I think I was maybe like 4 or 5, me and my mom were gonna go, I think we were gonna go to like an opera or something. And I was sitting on the bathroom floor, just like watching her get ready. And she was doing her makeup in the mirror. I can still remember the exact type of makeup brush she had. And she was using Bare Minerals blush. And she was just like doing her makeup in the mirror. And I remember watching her when I was so little, thinking to myself, how am I ever gonna know how to do that? Like, how does she know what to put on and where to put it? And like, why is she just putting that there? Like, I remember just having those thoughts as a little toddler kid. I just truly was curious as to how I was ever gonna learn how to do that, and how I was gonna know how to do my makeup one day. Who was gonna teach me? How would I understand that? I remember having the same thought when I was gonna drive a car too. Like when I was like 13, I was like, oh my god, one day I'm gonna have to drive one of these things. I could never picture myself understanding how to do this and that, and it seems too much. Like, I never thought that I'd be able to get to that point where I understood how to drive a car. Like when I'm little, like when I'm younger than these things, it seemed like something I wouldn't know how to do. And it's just weird now being older, and my makeup routine is like something I don't even think about. It's just something I do every single day. But there was a time when I was so little, and then I think about even the preteen 12-year-old girl, like there were times where I didn't have that in my life and have that routine, and there were times where I didn't know how to drive a car. And it's interesting like how we grow up throughout our life, and we just all kind of naturally learn these things and grow up, and yeah, it's just sweet to think about. Okay, so let's talk about this concealer. I tried different concealers. I tried the Fenty one. I think I got the Rare Beauty one recently. I did not like it. It wasn't my color. Maybe if I tried my color, I probably would have liked it. The Fenty one is very high coverage. I know there's like the NARS creamy one. There's a lot of like higher end concealers that I have tried and want to try, I guess. But over the years, over the past decade of doing my makeup that we keep talking about, I have used this concealer, the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer. This is just so good. I didn't even want it to be better than other ones, but it stays on my face. It looks natural. It's the exact like texture, blendability. It blends exactly how I would want it to. It's my favorite concealer through and through. It never fails. It's a bit cheaper than the other ones, so I mean, that's a plus. But yeah, I come back to it no matter what. So I just put a little bit under my eyes in a little triangle. Like, I even bring it down like right near my nose right here. And usually my concealer, I would get a bit lighter. That's the only thing, right? With the drugstore, you kind of have to guess what color you are, and I didn't do a good guessing job. It doesn't look crazy, but it's a little bit too dark. I usually like my concealer to be a bit lighter than my skin, so it's brightening, and this one isn't, but that's fine. It does the job. And what are we gonna do? Blend it with the finger. Now I'm just thinking about being a young like preteen and that whole time, and One Direction. Oh my god, yeah, no, that was just a blast. Thinking about One Direction reminds me of how that energy, I don't even know what you want to describe it, but the thing that comes alive in going through puberty, young girls at that time, the immense love and passion and power that comes out of those young girls when it came to like whatever they were a fan of, like the One Direction fans. That's what I'm speaking about because I was a part of that One Direction fandom, and being in that and having so much like passion for the music you love and this celebrity that you love. It's not like, I honestly look back at that time and see how it's like carried into my adulthood. That passion and that girlish like excitement and wonder, I carry that on with me even now through the excitement that I have for things and the passion that I have for things. I feel like that time of my life was so fun because that's where that all generated and bloomed, and I could put all that focus on something like in One Direction and when their new albums would come out and Harry Styles and all this stuff that I was so passionate about. Like, that showed me how excited and passionate I could get about things. That is such a big part of my creativity too, like feeling excited and passionate and driven. And I feel like at that age, that energy was so potent and alive, and I look back on it fondly because it is fascinating just like how intoxicating that feeling really was, like being in a fandom and having all of our interests and obsessions as young girls. It really, of course, I think it was, you know, different for everybody. Maybe not everybody was a boy band fan. I was not into Justin Bieber and the Jonas Brothers and all that stuff. I was always boy hater. I hated boys. I was a big Swiftie all of my childhood, and One Direction sucked. All the boy bands were terrible until I was like 12 or 13. Then I got into it and I never went back. That was a crazy transition period where I started to like boys, because I was not a boy crazy gal back in the day. I am still not. But next thing, I know this is going to be bizarre to some of you, but I use my lipstick as blush because I like the way my cheeks match my lips. I like when they're the same color, and this does that for me. I think it works perfectly. So I smile and then I put the lipstick right on the bottom of my cheekbones, like right there. But yeah, that inner child, that excited tween girl over Harry Styles, that feeling stays alive within so many other things in my life, if that makes sense. And I've been doing a lot. I know that it's important to think about your inner child and all that stuff, but I didn't really get into that until recently. I always knew that a little version of me and my inner child did exist inside of me, no matter what, but I just didn't really do anything with that information until recently. I have always felt really insecure in my life, and no matter how well I did in something, there was always a certain level of confidence that I felt like I couldn't achieve, and this sort of insecurity that I didn't understand where it came from. I've been working on that in therapy and realized that it actually had a lot to do with my inner child. And I think there's so many there's that inner child who was very little and the trauma that we hold on to as that little version, but then there's also like the 12-year-old in us and the teenager in us, and there's a lot of different parts that have gone through so many different things. Hold on. Wait, let's do the next step here. Okay, so after I blend in my blush, I use this is so old. There's nothing on the container anymore. It used to have labels on it, but it's all come off. But this is Becca. It's from Becca, and it's it's a little like travel size liquid highlighter that I've had probably for 6 years. It never runs out. I barely use any of it. I literally just take a tiny bit that's on the cap, like that much. You do not need anything. And I just take a little bit and I put it right on the tip of my nose, and then right above the bridge right here. And then I just do a little bit on the top of my cheekbones. I found out that a lot of me feeling insecure was because when I was little, there was just certain levels of support that I needed that I just don't think I ever felt secure in. And now as an adult, like that same feeling of instability and insecurity that I felt when I was little around my capabilities still exists within me today. And I have to go back and do these exercises where I talk to that little version of myself who was hurt or who needed that support, and tell her that I am here now for her. And I'm sorry that I couldn't be at the time. It's a whole thing, right? We can get into that in another video, but just healing and trying to remind that inner child that you're still there. I definitely have been thinking about all of that a lot with the younger version of myself, but I haven't been thinking about it too much with just like the very sweet little innocent 12-year-old girl who was going through so many changes. I've been thinking a lot about that little girl in me and how to keep her alive and keep her feeling happy and safe and healthy and entertained. And while I was talking about it with my therapist and just like what I can be doing, and just in the midst of those certain exercises of thinking about my inner child, she said, sometimes it's necessary. Like, we don't want to, as we become adults, we don't want to keep that part of us alive that feels silly and scared and just wants things that a child would want. Like, we want to just throw that away, and when we grow up, we close those parts of ourselves out so that we can just become harder and more equipped and adjust to the rigid systems of this world. We just want to push that aside. But she was like, it's really important to take time out of your busy schedule to say, no, I'm gonna take her roller skating, or I'm gonna get her ice cream, like doing things for that little inner child. When I think about me as a 5th grader, 6th grader, elementary school, middle school time, like what we're talking about, and feeling all of that love and excitement for One Direction and growing up and beauty and creativity and learning all these things when I was that age, I've started to think more about how I can make her feel happy and entertained and healthy and good, and definitely like carrying those exciting, joyous feelings on on now in the things that I love now, the things that I'm passionate about now. You know, at the time it was my favorite One Direction song, and maybe now it's my favorite novel that I'm reading, or just however I can direct that same joy and excitement and fascination to the things I love now. Having those passions and interests and loving things so much and loving certain media and stuff makes that part of me really happy. The young 12-year-old girl who was learning how to do her makeup, that part of my life, that child, that part of me feels really happy when I'm able to take all of the fangirling and excitement from that time and apply it now to the things that I love and enjoy, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is what I've been thinking about recently. Okay guys, we're on to eyes now. Beautiful makeup palette. I feel like it's matching our scenery that we have going on here. It kind of matches my bed. This is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. And okay, I've bought a new palette within the past few years, but I have been using this palette since I was in 7th grade. I got a new one recently. It used to be an old type of packaging and it was kind of falling apart, but now I got a fancy new one a few years ago and have been using that. So, I mean, it just has everything I need. Like I said, I'm not really crazy with my makeup, and this is really all I need to work with here. I just do like a little bit of the white mixed with this like neutral brown right there. So I just like do that, and I put that all over my lids just to kind of like prime. I rub out all those like concealer creases that might be in my eyelids and just sort of set the lid with that powder, mostly the white powder, a little bit of the brown one. Get that all on there and on the brow bone. Now I take this little like crease brush. I dip it in this slightly darker brown. Can you see that? Yes. This slightly darker brown right here, Cashmere Bunny. So before we were using Heaven and Strip Poker. Okay. And I just look straight on into the mirror and I just go in my crease and put that darker brown in there. I kind of bring it up to like a cat eye a little bit. Like I just sort of move towards my brow and just keep it fluffy, nice in that crease, move it up towards the brow a little bit, like a cat eye on the corner. But yeah, I'm curious how those of you who do your makeup, what age you kind of started doing it and what you were going through in that time of your life. Were you a young little 13-year-old fangirl? Was it before that? I know a lot of people have their own stories and just like family history too. Like I know so many people grew up watching their mothers or grandmothers with their beauty, maybe their jewelry, their makeup. I think all that stuff can be so fun and historical and bring family together too. I didn't really have an experience like that, but I know that there are definitely some fascinating makeup origin stories. So if you have one, leave one below. Yeah, okay, so with that darker shade, like I said, I bring it up just a tiny bit like that, and then I kind of connect that. It just, you can barely see it, but I just connect that brown like right under the lid sometimes a little bit. Sometimes if I'm feeling really crazy, should we get really crazy, guys? I was just gonna do my simple everyday look, but it is evening time, so maybe I will go a bit darker. We're gonna do my two little things that I do when I wanna spice it up and make it a little more interesting. I'm gonna take this dark sparkly brown, what is it? Chocolate Martini. I'm just gonna take a tiny bit. This stuff is powerful. And I'm gonna put that in my crease and kind of like guide it upward like we were doing with the lighter brown, but we just gotta be gentle here. Yeah, I try to use a really light hand when I do this, or else it comes out just a little too dramatic for me. So just do a light hand, bring it down a little bit. Beautiful, done. No, not done. Now I'm going to take a little tiny brush, oh, no, not that one. Very tiny little angled brush. Then I dip into Sexpresso. I just put it right where my lash line kind of is, like right here. I used to do liquid eyeliner when I was younger. I don't really have the patience for that anymore, trying to make like a perfect line, so I kind of prefer it to be a bit smudged out. I kind of want to get a good pencil that I like to do this instead of using eyeshadow, but I just been putting a little bit of dark eyeshadow, making a very subtle, tiny little cat eye here in the corner. I just connect that little cat eye by bringing it down, so kind of similar with what I did with the eyeshadow, but this is more exact. I just like look kind of straight on again and just follow that line from the waterline up to the top. Oh, I was like holding my breath the whole time. I get really focused with that. That side looks fine, but I'm gonna bring it out a little bit. Now I like what I see. I've been using the Better Than Sex Too Faced mascara for a while. I just recently decided to try this Maybelline one, the Sky High. It was recommended to me by a friend, and when I was getting the Maybelline concealer, I figured that I might as well get this as well. And I like it. I think the only thing is I don't like the applicator as much as the Better Than Sex one. It also does not come off as easily, which is great until you're like trying to get your makeup off, and it's not waterproof. So, you know, I try to stay away from waterproof mascara because it pulls your eyelashes out. I learned that that's not very good for your eyelashes, so I tried to switch to no waterproof, but this one kind of feels like it is waterproof because it does not move. And my issue with the Too Faced one was that it was sliding off my face very easily. So done with the eyes. We're almost done here. I used the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Pillow Talk. I believe this is Pillow Talk. It's kind of getting small and nubby, but it is Pillow Talk. The next thing I do is take that same lipstick that we used for the blush earlier, and I just dab it on very lightly. It's in the color Passion Kiss. Here we are, back to the setting spray. Ooh, and I just let that dry. Ooh, got my eye, oh my God. Whoa, wow, that's never happened before. It really got in this eye. Like I said, we let that dry for a bit. Okay, so I brought you all a bit closer so you can see the final result better. Hold on. My tripod is really old. Oh my God. Okay. Here we are. Oh, my bow is falling out. Anyway, here we are. This is the final product. This is what I would definitely call my everyday makeup. Do I do it every day? No. But the days that I do my full makeup routine, it is this.